see about the timer. In the PLCs we are commonly use timer like on timer. The timer will run based on the preset value. Normally the timer have these inputs like enable input, preset input, current and output. The enable input will makes the timer to run. The preset will have the preset timer. That means if we run a timer for 5 seconds means that 5 seconds is the value that we will write in the preset area, and the current is the area in which the actual timer value, that is present timer value, will be updated in the current area. Once the preset value and the current value are become equal, then the output of the timer will turn on. Okay, that means the timer will run only if the input of the, that enable input is in on. For example, if we keep the preset value to 10 seconds and after some 5 or 6 seconds if the enable input goes off, the timer current value become 0. Okay, so the timer will run only if the enable input is in on. So if the enable input is on, then the current value will start increasing to match with the preset value, and once the preset value and the current value are equal, then the output of the timer will turn on. This function block is a common block used to explain about the timer. The timer are of different counts are there, like that some timers is for 100 milliseconds, some timers are high speed timers like 10 millisecond, 1 millisecond, some timers are 1 second. Okay, these are all the timer base. Okay, if you enter the preset value to 1 for a 1 second timer means it represents 1 second. If we write for example, if you write for 100 millisecond timer, if you write the preset value as 1, then it means 100 millisecond. The timer will run for 100 millisecond, and once the 100 millisecond is reached, the timer will give output. Okay, so to make one output to goes on after some delay, then we can introduce timer in it. Okay, here we will see how the timer will work in Mitsubishi FX3U PLC. So I am selecting the new FX3U PLC. Okay, so this is FX3U PLC. In parameter it will have some device area. So here we can see there are around 512 timers are available in this PLCs. The timer addresses will be like this. So if I enter here, the timer will be T0. So T0, T1, T2, T3 are all individual timers. So our requirement is to on an output after some delay that we enter in the timer. Okay, let's consider the input x0, x0, and I will write it as on push button. And if you want to see the command, we can do it here. Okay, that input it's on, then I need to switch on an output after some delay. Let it be 10 seconds. So after this input on, I need to run the timer. Okay, so for that we need to put a coil and timer address as T0, and in Mitsubishi FX3 PLCs the timer is 100 millisecond timer. So if I enter 1 as a 1 for the preset, then it's 100 millisecond. Okay, to enter, before we enter the preset, we need to denote the constant. It's a decimal constant k. So k, then if we enter 1, then it is 100 millisecond timer. So in our case we need 10 seconds. So if I enter 10, it is 1 second, and if I enter another 0, then it is 10 seconds. And for the timer we can give a name like on delay timer. Okay, so I am compiling this one. So if the input goes on, the timer will run, and once the timer reaches this 100, that is 10 seconds, the timer will give an output. That output we can read through this T0. So once that output is on, we can switch on one lamp Y0. So it's a simple logic that if the input goes on, the timer will run. Once the timer preset value 10 seconds is reached, the timer output will turn on. With that output we can switch on one lamp. This is called as on delay timer. We can execute the operation. So here I am going to switch on the input x0. So if it ons, the timer will start run for 10 seconds. So once this 10 seconds is reached, this T0 NO contact will become closed and the output will turn on. And the output will on until that x0 goes off. So if I switch off the x0, again the timer value will become 0. So once if we switch on the bit again, the timer will run. But before it reaches, if we switch off, the timer will go to 0 value. Okay, so this is how the timer will run, and the timer will run until that enable input is in on. So it is called on delay timer. Once the preset value and the current value are equal, then the timer will give an output. Please subscribe the channel to follow more videos. Okay, we will meet again in another video. Thank you. Have a nice day.